You ever touch something broken and realize it's not the machine that needs fixing, it's the person using it? My name's Ethan. I'm 26. Grew up in a small Michigan town where everyone knows your dog's name before they know yours. I work for a local home appliance service, washing machines, dishwashers, dryers, you name it. I've cracked it open and brought it back to life. I never expected my job to bring me face to face with the most complicated woman I've ever met, or drag me into a story that still keeps me awake at night. This is the story I've never told anyone. I call it, I was fixing her washing machine. She said, "You wash pain away too?" It started with a standard ticket. Client name, Lila Wren. Address, Uptown Crestwood. Issue, washing machine stuck mid-cycle. Note, please call before coming. Afternoons only. I pulled up outside a brown brick townhouse at 2:47 p.m. The house looked like it belonged in a Hallmark movie, but the windows were closed tight, curtains drawn like someone didn't want the world looking in. I rang the bell. She opened the door halfway. "Appliance tech?" she asked. Her voice was soft but sharp, like she wasn't sure if she was happy to see me or dreading it. "Yeah, Ethan," I said, lifting my toolkit. "You called about a washer?" She nodded and stepped back. That's when I saw her. Late 20s, maybe, barefoot, in an oversized sweater and black leggings. Hair in a messy bun that was way too perfect to be accidental. She wasn't wearing makeup, but something about her looked polished, like grief dressed in silk. The washing machine was in a back room near the kitchen. Tight space. I knelt, started working. It was a basic jam drum. Could have been caused by anything from a coin to a baby sock. She leaned against the wall, watching. "So, you fix things for a living?" "Yep. Wish I had that talent." I glanced up. "For what?" A long pause. She tilted her head. "To fix people." Something about her tone, it wasn't flirty. It was haunted. As I loosened the outer panel, she said, "My ex used to say the machine was cursed, said it hated clean slates." "Machines don't hate anything," I said. "They just get overworked. Or mistreated." She smiled faintly. "You sound like a therapist with a toolbox." I laughed. "Guess I've heard enough stories in laundry rooms to write a book." Then silence. A heavy one. Just as I reached the drum, she knelt beside me, closer than I expected. Close enough that I could smell vanilla and something like old paper. Like she'd been reading in bed all day. She whispered, "You wash pain away too?" My hand froze. I looked at her. Her eyes didn't match her smile. They were full of unanswered questions and some kind of ache that made my chest feel too small. I said nothing, just nodded. Maybe I lied. Maybe I wanted it to be true. When I finished, she made coffee. "I owe you one," she said, sliding a mug toward me. "I don't usually accept coffee," I said. "Work policy. But you made my machine stop crying. I think that earns you a few sips." I stayed. The kitchen was warm, dim. She had soft jazz playing in the background. I noticed photographs on the fridge. Most of them were just her and a golden retriever. No friends, no family, no kids. She caught me looking. "They're gone," she said. "The dog too." I opened my mouth to say something kind, but she waved it off. "Long story. And you're not a therapist, remember?" I nodded slowly, but the more time I spent near her, the more I wanted to become one. Over the next few days, something strange started happening. She called again, not with new issues, minor things. "The machine sounds odd again. Or is it normal for it to hum like that?" Once, she asked if I'd mind, checking if the screws were still tight. The screws were fine, but I went anyway. Every visit lasted longer. She started asking about me. My mom's a nurse, my dad left when I was 10. I played drums in high school. I fix machines because they break the way people do, but they don't lie about it. Lila listened like no one ever had, but she never talked about herself. Until one evening, it was raining hard. She called saying her dryer wouldn't turn on. I got there drenched. She opened the door in a white robe, mascara smudged. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know who else to call." We didn't talk much. I fixed the issue, it was a tripped fuse. But before I left, She sat down on the floor, leaning against the wall. I asked, "Are you okay?" She said, "I think I'm finally going to tell you something." Then she pointed to a photo in the hallway. A man, older than her, handsome, smiling beside her. There was something off in the way she looked at him. "He wasn't just my ex," she said. "He was my therapist and my fiancé until the day he vanished. Took money, my journals, and my peace." I froze. "He used everything I told him against me, made me question my own memories." She looked at me, trembling. "I'm scared he's watching me now, that he'll come back." Lightning cracked outside. I didn't know what to say, but something in me shifted, from repairman to protector. Then came the knock. A loud knock at the front door. Lila stood up, shaking. "I wasn't expecting anyone," she whispered. The knock came again, harder this time. I took a step toward the door, my pulse pounding in my ears. She grabbed my wrist. "Don't open it," she said, her voice shaking. "He always knocked 3 times. Knock, knock, knock." Some people run from pain. Others wait for it, like it's a punishment they think they deserve. The knock echoed again, 3 times. Hard, measured, like it knew we were listening, like it was meant for her soul, not her door. Lila's grip on my wrist tightened. Her hand was cold, trembling, like every nerve in her body had remembered something it spent years trying to forget. I whispered, "Lila, do you want me to answer it?" She shook her head, eyes wide. "If it's him, he won't stop once he knows I'm not alone." Another knock, then silence. I stepped back from the door, waited. Nothing. I peered through the peephole. Empty porch. No car. Just wind and rain, and a porch light flickering like it was on the verge of confession. "I didn't see anyone," I said softly. She didn't speak, just walked into the kitchen, pulled a bottle of wine from the counter, and poured herself a glass with shaking hands. I followed. She leaned against the sink. "I hate red wine. He used to say it made me look intellectual, like I was worth quoting." I didn't interrupt. She went on. "He started by complimenting my poetry, said he could see me, like really see me. And when someone says that at the right time, when you feel invisible long enough, you start letting them write the story of you." She looked at me finally, her eyes full of tears she wouldn't let fall. "I let him in. I told him things I never told my mom. Then he used them to turn me against everyone I ever trusted." I leaned on the other side of the sink, barely breathing. "What happened to him?" She shook her head. "He vanished the day after I exposed him to his clinic board. They never found him. No charges, no closure, just whispers and silence." She downed the wine in one gulp and muttered, "Closures for the lucky." We sat on the floor again. The hum of the fridge, the occasional thunder. Everything felt louder in that stillness. "I kept calling for service just to see you," she said suddenly. I turned to her. "You didn't know it," she added. "But your voice, it felt like something real, something unafraid of my ghosts." I chuckled nervously. "I fix things, remember?" She smiled. "Not everything broken wants to be fixed, but sometimes they want to be held while they fall apart." Then she leaned in. It wasn't some cinematic kiss. It wasn't even romantic at first. It was desperate, like she wanted to borrow my steadiness, just for a second. But then it became something else. Something slow, deep, like honesty. I spent the night on her couch. Neither of us said anything about the kiss. She didn't ask me to stay. I didn't ask to leave. At 3:17 a.m., I heard her crying in the next room. I wanted to go in, but I didn't. She deserved privacy with her pain. Some wounds don't want witnesses. The next morning, I got a call from my manager. "Ethan," he said, "you okay, man? You've been taking a lot of repeat visits to that Crestwood address. You sure that's professional?" I lied, said I was troubleshooting a tough model, said I'd cut back. He didn't push, but something about the call stuck with me. Why was I really staying involved? Was I protecting her or distracting myself? That evening, I went back to Lila's. Not for a service call, just because I needed to see her. But when I got there, the front door was wide open. The washer was ripped open, tools scattered, screws on the floor. No sign of Lila. I rushed through the house. Lila? Silence. Then, from upstairs, I heard the faint sound of a piano key. One note, just one, repeated. I climbed the stairs, heart in my throat. In the hallway, a trail of photographs had been ripped off the walls. Faces scratched out, torn in half. At the end of the hall, her bedroom. I pushed open the door and froze. She was sitting on the floor in front of a full-length mirror. Her eyes red, her fingers pressing a single key on a small, old keyboard. "I thought he was here," she said without looking at me. "I thought I saw him on the porch. But maybe it's just me. Maybe I need him to still exist, so I have someone to blame for all this mess inside me." I stepped closer. "Lila, you're not crazy. Someone knocked." I heard it too. She turned to me, eyes glassy. "My mother called today. First time in 4 years. She said my sister's getting married. She wants me there, but only if I pretend nothing ever happened." She laughed bitterly. "Isn't that what people do? Hide the mess under a clean outfit and smile for the camera." I knelt beside her, gently placed my hand over hers. "You don't have to go back to what broke you." She looked into my eyes, and for a moment, she wasn't guarded. She was raw, real. "I don't want to be alone anymore, Ethan. But I don't know how to let someone love me when I don't trust my own reflection." I held her that night. No words, just breath, just closeness. And in that stillness, I realized something. I wasn't here just to fix her. I was here because part of me was broken too. And maybe, just maybe, we could be each other's repair. But then, the twist. The next morning, as I made coffee in her kitchen, a white envelope slid under her front door. I opened it without thinking. Inside, a photo of me, standing at her door, from 2 nights ago, written on the back in sharp ink. "You can't fix what I built, Ethan. Some ghosts don't live in houses. They live in people's memories, waiting to be invited back in." The photo in my hand shook as I stared at it. Me, standing at her door, my face blurred slightly, like it had been captured in motion from across the street. The timestamp in the corner read, 11:07 p.m., 2 nights ago. That was the first night she said she saw him. Her ex. The night of the knock. Written in clean, surgical handwriting on the back were the words, "You can't fix what I built, Ethan." My heart was thudding against my ribs. Who was watching us? Was it him? Was he here all along? I stormed upstairs with the envelope in hand. "Lila!" She was in the bathroom, towel drying her hair, humming a sad tune to herself like nothing had happened. I showed her the photo. She went pale. Her breath hitched. "No, no, no, no." I locked every window. "He can't be near." I tried to steady her. "We need to call someone." "No," she backed away. "The police think I'm unstable. Last time they came, they filed a wellness report. Said I needed therapy, not security." "Then we do this another way," I said. "I'm staying with you until we figure this out." The next 48 hours were a mix of fear and strange peace. We started sharing small routines, morning coffee, silent dinners, music before bed. She played vinyls, old ones, Nina Simone, Leonard Cohen. Felt like we were living inside a memory. But I noticed something odd. She'd walk past mirrors and flinch, cover them, avoid looking. She even kept the hallway mirror tilted forward so it reflected the ground. Finally, I asked, "Why do you hate mirrors?" She hesitated, then whispered, "He used to make me stand in front of one. For hours. He'd tell me everything that was wrong with me. Every time I flinched, he'd say it proved I didn't deserve love." I clenched my jaw. I wanted to find him, to make him pay. But the truth was, we still didn't know where he was, or how close. That night I couldn't sleep. Something kept gnawing at me. The door hadn't been forced open when she disappeared, and the photo was taken from inside the neighborhood gate. I started looking through her mail stack. She didn't mind. In fact, she said, I stopped opening letters a long time ago. That's when I found it. A rental agreement for a storage unit in his name. And her emergency contact? Her sister, Lila. Why is your sister on your ex's documents? She froze, then slowly sat down. There's something I haven't told you. I waited. She spoke carefully. My ex wasn't just a therapist. He was also my sister's husband. Everything inside me dropped. He manipulated us both, she said. Gaslit us, isolated us. But only I figured it out. She still thinks I ruined her marriage out of jealousy. I swallowed hard. So, your family cut you off? She nodded. Said I was dangerous. Said I was obsessed. But you weren't, Lila. You were trying to protect her. I was trying to protect both of us, she whispered. But she didn't want saving. I couldn't take it anymore. The storage unit, the photo, the fear. The next morning, I went to the unit address. She begged me not to go alone, but I had to. It was an old facility on the edge of town, dimly lit, smelled like cardboard and mildew. Unit number 47, his name on the clipboard. I opened it, and inside were boxes, not of weapons, not of anything illegal, but of journals, hers, and cassette tapes, labeled with dates and emotions. April 12th, anger. June 5th, grief. August 9th, confession. He had recorded her therapy sessions, without consent, stored them, cataloged them like a collector of souls. I brought everything back. She stared at the tapes for a long time. He kept my voice in a box. We burned the journals together, watched her words turn to ash. And as the flames rose, something inside her melted too. That night we danced. In her kitchen, barefoot, no music, just the sound of rain tapping the windows like a lullaby for survivors. She looked at me and said, "You didn't fix me, Ethan." I nodded, silent. "But you waited with me, while I fixed myself." Then, for the first time, she walked up to a mirror, uncovered it, and looked herself dead in the eyes. 6 months later, we moved in together. Different town, new place, no ghosts. Lila volunteers now, helps trauma victims reclaim their voices. And me, I still fix machines. But sometimes, I write our story mostly, quietly, in the dark, because pain doesn't vanish. But with the right person beside you, you learn how to live without fearing the knock.